अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महवदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we have been discussing about how Krishna personally manifests in form of Antarjami and a great devotee of the Lord. Sikha Guru ke to jani Krishna ra Swarup. One should know instructing spiritual master to be the personality Krishna himself. And how Krishna manifests himself as Shiksha Guru, Antarjami Bhakta Sreshta, a super soul and a great devotee of the Lord. And we have discussed by taking reference from the Chatusloki Bhagavatam, where it is explained how Krishna acts as Antaryami. Now, he is also manifesting himself in form of a great devotee. That is external manifestation of Krishna, that is spiritual master. That is the subject matter under discussion for today. So last time we have discussed Jive Sakshat Nahitate Guru Chaitya Rupe Shiksha Guru Hoy Krishna Mahanta Swarupe. That Krishna, he appears before us as spiritual master. Mahanta Swarupe. Because spiritual master, by his very instructions, he helps the devotee to reach Krishna. So now the question can be asked, how does it happen? How does Krishna actually manifest? So to explain that, now the evidence have been taken from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, first. It is said, Tato dusangam utsujya satsu sajjita buddhiman santa eva suchindanti manobhyasangam uktivi. Adilila chapter 1, text number 59. Dear devotees, this is the reference we are starting today. Adi chapter 1, 59. Tato dusangam utsujya. So the living entities are in this material world in the association of the material nature. So that is dusanga. That means those associations which takes us away from Krishna, that is called bad association, dusanga. Therefore, one must give up such bad associations. And Satsu Sajjita Buddhiman, one who is an intelligent person, what he will do? He will always try to associate with the saintly personalities. Why? Santa eva suchindanti mana vyasanga bhuktivi. When we come near a pure devotee of the Lord, such a devotee, when he speaks about Krishna, he, with his realization, instructs us, then that instruction cut the knot, which is binding us with this material nature. Manabhyasanga bhuktivi. So that's why hearing from a devotee of the Lord is a very, very important subject matter for us. That's why Prabhupada in the purport, he explains how there are two types of bad association. Uh, One is gross materialists who constantly engage in sense gratification. Hmm. The second type of undesirable association is unbelievers who do not serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but serve their senses and their mental whims in terms of their speculative habits. Intelligent persons seeking transcendental realization should very uh, scrupulously avoid their company. We have seen in the life of Narad Muni, when he was a small boy, he did not, he was never exposed to bad association. Just by associating with Mahatmas, he was elevated to the platform of Bhava, and he could able to see the personality of Godhead. So in that way, this is the benefit of associating with pure devotee of the Lord. Sometimes some people feel we can perform some pious activity, punya karma, or tirtha and deva seva. They visit to the holy places, they serve, they worship some deities, and some other dedicated to the knowledge of the Shastra. But one should know that none of these activities, whether visiting to holy places, serving the deities and different deities, and performing some pious activities, studying Shastra, taking birth in the holy places, none of these activities can be compared to a moment's association with a saintly personality. That's what we have been hearing now from Srimad Bhagavatam, is first chapter, canto, second chapter. Susrusu Saddadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. In this connection, while commenting on the word Punya Tirtha Nishevana, Srila Jiva Goswami says, when people they go to the holy places, they get the opportunity to hear and associate with the saints who are living in the holy places. And when they hear from them, they come in contact with them. That is how they gain affinity for hearing the messages about Vasudeva Katharuchi. So that is the greatest benefit. That means if somebody wants to attain affinity for the messages of Vasudeva, the best form of attaining that is uh, through the association of a saintly person. That's how, by referring to the instructions of Kapil Dev to Mother Devahuti, it is quoted here, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha तयोषणात् आश्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear uh, in that association. If one hears from devotees the way of transcendental experience, quickly opens the gradual and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. So, uh, this hearing the messages of Godhead in the association of a pure devotee is so powerful. Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishyati. Initially, we may not have so much faith on Shastra and the process of devotional service. But as we associate with saintly personalities who are committed to devotional service, gradually we gain faith. And that faith in due course develops into Rati means attachment, or you can say even up to the platform of Bhava, and then Prema Bhakti, devotion. So, in that way, everything has its root in the association with a Mahatma. Um, One's development of a taste for executing the instructions is the best of one's devotional service. Here, Prabhupada comments how when somebody comes in contact with a spiritual master, then he receives instructions from his spiritual master. When he starts executing these instructions, then he gains taste for devotional service. Uh, so this is a very important point. That's why further it is said, uh, ईश्वर स्वरूप भक्त तार अधिष्ठान भक्ति भक्तिर हृदय कृष्णेर सतत विश्राम. So Krishna resides in the heart of a devotee always. And who is this devotee? Uh, this devotee is always engaged in Krishna service. That's why Ishvara Swarup Bhakta Tar Adhishtan. Adhishtan. Adhishtan means actually the heart of a pure devotee is the residing place of the Lord. Hmm? So, the heart of a devotee acts as a Vishrama Mandira, a resting place for the Lord. A very interesting point, Vishrama Mandira, Vishramagar. We are very much familiar with this word called Vishramagar. When the when people keep traveling in even big cities and those places, even in some pilgrimage place, there are some house constructed for people to come and take rest. When they are taking rest, they are in relaxed mode. They don't have any other anxiety. They are just taking rest. So Krishna, even though he is maintaining so many living entities, he is creating and he has so many other activities, but he finds peace and happiness residing in the heart of his devotees. So to prove that how the devotee, the heart of a pure devotee is so dear to Krishna. Again, there are two verses quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. But Srila Prabhupada, before we continue, Prabhupada says, a living entity in the conditioned stage can uncover his aptitude for serving the absolute truth by the grace of Krishna and the spiritual master. Then the Lord reveals himself within his heart, and he can know that Krishna is seated in the heart of every pure devotee. Krishna is actually situated in the heart of every living entity, but only a devotee can realize this fact. Krishna is situated in every heart, but a pure devotee can realize this fact. So that's why how Krishna uh, takes shelter in the heart of the devotees. The quotation have been given by referring to the pastime of Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham mad anyattena jananti naham tebhyo managapi. Uh, Saints are my heart, and only I am their hearts. They do not know anyone but me, and therefore I do not recognize anyone besides them as mine. Uh, So, from this verse, we can understand that without getting the mercy of a pure devotee, you cannot attain Krishna. Birra while commenting on this verse, he says uh, that how can that so many devotees, sadhus, become your hridaya, your heart, and you become their heart? How does it happen? Means actually, the devotees of the Lord, they know perfectly well what is in the heart of the Supreme Lord. Means whatever Krishna desires, a pure devotee of the Lord, he always copes up with the desire of Krishna. He never moves an inch from the desire of Krishna. Similarly, Krishna is very much dear to the heart of a devotee. Means whatever the devotee thinks, Krishna is always trying to cope up with the desire of Krishna. Of course, this is the dealing between pure devotee and Krishna. Uh, the last paragraph, you can see this is the quotation coming from the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we see the misunderstanding arose between Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj. Durvasa Muni, without understanding the position of Maharaj Ambarish, how great devotee he is, he cursed Maharaj Ambarish, and as a result, he was attacked by Sudarshan Chakra, and he went on even to the demigods, to the heaven. He went around moving in different, approaching the different demigods, but none of them was able to protect him. And finally, he thought, this is Vishnu Chakra, let me go and take shelter of Vishnu. But Lord Vishnu advised him, if you want forgiveness, then better you go to Maharaj Ambarish. Even I can't protect you. In that connection, Vishnu spoke this verse. The Lord, being full and free from problems, can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. His concern is how to elevate and protect all those who have taken shelter of his feet. The same responsibility is also entrusted to the spiritual master. You see, The desire of Krishna and that of spiritual master are identical. Krishna is always thinking of how he can protect and elevate those surrendered souls. Similarly, the bona fide spiritual master's concern is how the devotees who have surrendered to him as a representative of the Lord may make progress in devotional service. Spiritual master is also thinking the same. See, bona fide guru. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always mindful of the devotees who fully engage in cultivating knowledge of Him, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. So, in that way, Krishna never separates himself from the desire of his devotees, neither the devotees are separated from the desire of Krishna. A pure devotee never tried to maintain his identity in this world without serving Krishna. So, in that way, then the next verse also speaks about how the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes shelter in the heart of a pure devotee. This is the conversation between Yudhishthir Maharaj and Vidura. When Vidura returned back to Hastinapur after roaming around the places of pilgrimage, at that time, Yudhishthir Maharaj, while receiving Vidura, he says, Bhavad Vidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhutah Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Santastena Gadaprita. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Such is the power of a devotee who carries the lotus feet of the Lord in his heart always. So here the point is mm, the pure devotee of the Lord is so dear to the Lord that Lord never leaves the company of his devotee. So in that way, this is a very interesting point Maharaj Yudhishthira is making, that tirthi kurvanti tirthani. Even these pure devotees can purify the places of pilgrimage. It has been said by some acharyas that when a pure devotee of the Lord visits the holy places of pilgrimage, it is like adding fuel to the fire. Fire is already there. It has the burning capacity. But when you add more fuel, then it burns more heavily. Similarly, the Punya Tirtha, they are already glorious. When the devotees come there and they join, even the purity of that Tirtha, that place of pilgrimage, becomes Mahatirtha. That becomes Mahatirtha. So in that way, by glorifying the devotees having power to purify the places of pilgrimage, the importance have been given to the personality of Godhead who is residing in the heart of such a pure devotee. Because of the presence of the Supreme Lord, they gain this power to purify in the places of pilgrimage. So in that way, we can see that these devotees are so powerful because of the Supreme Lord's presence. Now, further Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Sei Bhakta Ganaha Dividha Prakar Parishada Ganeka Sadhaka Ganar. So such devotees are of two types. Now you should understand, you must keep one thing in your mind. Just prior to this verse, verse number 64, we were discussing about a pure devotee whose heart is the shelter, the rest house of the Supreme Lord. So, say bhakta ganaha idvidha prakar. Such devotees are of two types. Parishadagan eka sadhaka ganar. One is a personal associate of the Lord, and the other one is a sadhaka. Prabhupada says, new fire devotee. This is a very interesting purport, even though very small, but it is very, very enlightening and full of insight. So we will read this purport. 1 minute, let me drink some water. So, sir, devotees are of two types. One is called Parishuddhagan and Sadhakagan. Perfect servitors of the Lord are considered his personal associates, whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. So there are some sadhakas who are endeavoring to attain perfection, and there are already Siddha Bhaktas. So there are Siddha Bhaktas and Sadhaka Bhaktas. Siddha Bhakta are also two types. One is called Nitya Siddha Parshad and Sadhana Siddha Parshad. Those who actually elsewhere it is explained that Sai Vibhinnamsa Jiv Dvaita Prakara. The eternally separated living beings are of two types. Nitya Mukta, Ek Nitya Mukta, Eker Nitya Samsar. So one is called Nitya Mukta. They are eternally liberated, Nitya Mukta Jiv. And another Ekir Samsar, Nitya Baddha. So the living entities are of two types. This Vibhinnamsa living entities are of two types. One is Nitya Mukta, another one is Nitya Baddha. So the Nitya Muktas are the eternal associate of the Supreme Lord. Like we hear in Vrindavan, the devotees are Nitya Muktas, and these sadhakas, they follow the footsteps of the Nitya Siddha Parshadas. That's how they develop a desire to serve Krishna in that particular capacity. So, and those sadhakas who have attained perfection, they are in the spiritual world serving the Lord. They are called sadhana siddha parsada. Then here we are discussing about sadhaka. So you should know in this connection who is actually a sadhaka here spoken about. This sadhaka is already on the platform of bhava. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Jiva Goswami, he said there are two types of bhakti, sadhan bhakti and siddha bhakti. Sadhan bhakti, after bhava and prema, he is not categorizing it to two, he is saying that is siddha bhakti. That means when a sadhaka comes to the platform of rati, that is the sadhaka according to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami, he says, while describing the symptom of sadhaka bhakta, utpanna ratayah saumya nirvighnam anupagata. Sadhaka is one who has come to the platform of rati, attachment, and nirvighnam anupagata. He may not be fully freed from vighna, the offenses. Here, at the stage of even bhava, rati, the offenses arise from committing Vaishnava Aparadh. So, if we commit Vaishnava Aparadh, then even though such a sadhaka is qualified to have darshan of the Lord, Krishna Sakshat Krito Yugya, sadhaka parikirtita. He is a sadhaka, according to Srila Rupa Goswami. So that means In the beginning, we are also sadhaka, practicing sadhana bhakti. When you practice sadhana bhakti, then we become gradually purified of the material contaminations. Then, when we come to the platform of Bhava, at that time, the devotee actually knows his Swarupa and he is very much attached to serve the Lord by following the mood of a particular devotee in Vrindavan who has that Bhava. That time he is actually a sadhaka. Huh? So we are now performing sadhana bhakti, but we are just you are very early neophyte devotee. That's why Prabhupada. Whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. Then he's saying, who is going where? You see, among the associates, some are attracted by the opulences of the personality of Godhead, that is Aishwarya Mishrita Prema, those who attain, then they go to Vaikuntha to render devotional service with awe and reverence. Whereas the latter, means the neophytes, are placed in Vrindavan for the direct service of Sri Krishna. Um, so, when we follow the devotional service correctly, then you can either go to Vaikuntha or Vrindavan to serve Krishna there. So then, now he is going to speak about the incarnations of the Lord, starting with text number 65. So before we go to text number 65, is there any question or comment on whatever we have discussed so far?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams, Augusti Shri Prabhupada. Thank
Dandavats,
you
yes.
very much for your lecture today, and we are so glad that you have good health now. I have a quick question, Prabhuji, for the last verse that you just spoke about. So you said that devotees will go to Vaikuntha or Vrindavan. So does that mean that they are in that Aishwarya Bhakti and that Kevala Bhakti that we talked about earlier? Is that the distinction?
Yes,
I
yes,
wanted to
correct, correct.
understand that correctly.
Yes. So you want me to say something on this?
So Aishwarya Bhakti will be Vaikuntha and then Kevala Bhakti will be Vrindavan, correct? I mean, is my understanding correct on that? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, what is happening to go to Vrindavan to serve Krishna in the mood of Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhur, we have to follow the path of Rupa Goswami. If we are not following the path of Rupa Goswami, then because we are already practicing devotional service, some or other our mind will get attracted to the opulent manifestation of the personality of Godhead, which will in turn get us interested to serve him in the mood of Narayana, and maybe you can go to Vaikuntha to serve him in that way. But exclusively, if you want to get an entry to Vrindavan to serve Krishna in Vrindavan mood, then you have to follow the bhajan, the process of devotional service that is exclusively instructed to us by Sri Rupa Goswami. That's why Prabhupada says we are Rupanugas. And in this purport, you can say Prabhupada is saying the new fire devotee sadhaka, they will go to Vrindavan. How? By following the path of Rupa Goswami. Footstep.
So, in other words, I mean, just to clarify, if you follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's path, which is, I mean, of
Yeah.
course, again, going back to Rupa Goswami's teachings, it is again like Gaudiya path is basically Vrindavan path, right?
Yes. You can say
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesh Tanayata Dham Vrindavanam. So that is what we are intending towards. And we are very fortunate actually. We are very, very fortunate to be in this moment. And we have got some nice information, not information, the sadhana process, practice, how we can gain an entry. We have got so many Rasika Acharyas, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami. Even later, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is so sweet, so sweet. You need to just follow their footsteps.
Yes. Good fortune.
Yes. Yes, some other devotee wanted to ask
Thank
something.
you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanwad Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Radha Kundadasi. Prabhuji,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your association after a long time, Prabhuji. It was so nice to hear from you. How the Lord resides in pure devotee's heart and how the pure devotees is in the heart of the Supreme Lord. It is so beautiful to hear, Prabhuji. And my question is regarding actually 1.64. There are two types of devotees it is mentioned. So personal associates, parishads. So these parishads and Nitya Muktas are same or different?
No, same, same.
Same. Because you mentioned that.
Even those who are sadhan siddha, they are also included in the parsada category.
So then what is the difference between the sadhana siddhas and parishadas, Prabhuji? Initially,
No, in in the spiritual world, in ultimate analysis, there is no difference.
there is no difference.
There is no difference.
So neophyte devotees are just sadhaka bhaktas, right, Prabhuji? How they are considered?
Yeah.
How they are considered as a pure devotees so when on the neophyte stage? I mean, just sadhaka
because we spoke about it, I think, earlier. You see, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives this analogy of mango. A raw mango is a mango, and a ripe mango is also mango, right?
Yes.
Name are same, but the raw mango is going to become ripe in due course. The name is not changing. Why? Because the object is same. Similarly, the sadhana practice which we have undertaken, it is Shuddha, it is Ananya Bhakti, Akinchana Bhakti. So because the practice is pure, that's why even at the stage of neophyte, he is a pure devotee. And when he becomes perfect, that time he is also pure devotee because the practice is pure.
Wow, wonderful.
We never try to distinguish between a neophyte devotee and a very senior devotee. Why? Like you say, try to understand while explaining about the glories of the holy name, Srila Rupa Goswami says that a Brahmanistha whose mind is absorbed in thinking about Brahman, he will become free from the prarabdha karma after he has gone through it. Means a Brahmanubhavi has to suffer the reactions of his prarabdha karma. But a devotee of the Lord who starts chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he becomes immediately freed from the reactions of his prarabdha karma. Viroti Veda. Veda is speaking this loudly. So in that way, when a neophyte devotee chanting the holy name of the Lord, pure Harinam, and a perfect devotee chanting the holy name of the Lord, there is no difference. So our practice, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, everything, when it is done in the pure state of consciousness, without offense, then whether he is a neophyte devotee or an old devotee, they are all pure devotees. Practice is so pure.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now, yes, Prabhuji.
Just one clarification to about what you said. So when you said about when even if a neophyte devotee or a senior devotee chants in perfect consciousness without any offense. So but a neophyte devotee So if a neophyte devotee is not chanting in a, because during the start there will be many offenses at the start. So that time
where the difference comes. Here, when we are talking about Siddhanam. We are talking about service rendered without any offenses.
Okay.
That is pure service. That is pure devotional service. When we are chanting with offense, that is not pure chanting.
Okay. Paul, one more thing. So when we say that there's no cause for bhakti, and it's because of when a pure devotee gives causeless mercy, that time, that is when bhakti arises, awakens in the heart of the other person. Is it because the Lord is sitting in the heart of the pure devotee based on this verse? Is that why that devotee can give bhakti to others?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Krishna se tomar Krishna dite paro tomar sakati ache. What you said, I am just confirming by taking reference from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, Krishna se tumar Krishna dite paro tomar sakati ache. Ami to kangal Krishna Krishna boli dhai to pache pache. A devotee is crying and following a pure devotee saying, oh, Krishna is your property. Just now Krishna said, I reside in the heart of the devotee. So Krishna is the property of the devotee. That's why this devotee is saying, Krishna se tumar Krishna dete paro. Because Krishna is a property, so you can give me Krishna. I am, while crying, running behind you.
Thank you. Very beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So now we're going to discuss about the avatars of the Lord. ईश्वरेर अवतार ये तीन प्रकार अंश अवतार गुणावतार सत्यावेश अवतार तृतीय मत अंश अवतार पुरुष मत्स्यादिकयत. So the incarnation of the Lord have been categorized in three ways: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purusha, Matsya are examples of partial incarnations, Angsa avatar. So these Angsa avatars are Matsya, Kurma, etc. And three Purusha incarnations, Karanadoksai Vishnu, Garbhodoksai Vishnu, and Kshirodoksai Vishnu. They are Angsa avatars, partial incarnations. Then we have got qualitative incarnation, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. And then empowered incarnation, Satyavesh avatar, Jnana Satyavesh, Bhakti Satyavesh, etc. So we're going to discuss those things. Here in text number 67, it is said, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. Empowered incarnations are those like the Kumaras, King Prithu, and Mahamuni Vyasa. দুই রূপে হয় ভগবানের প্রকাশ, একে তো প্রকাশ হয় আর তো বিলাস. This is a very interesting point. We need to know that the personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two forms. One is called Prakasha and another form is called Vilasa. The difference is explained by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, and then we can read the other verses, then it will become very clear. The Supreme Lord expands his personal form in two primary categories. The Prakasha forms are manifested by Lord Krishna for his pastimes, and their features are exactly like his. Now he's giving the example. When Lord Krishna married 16,000 queens in Dwarka, he did so in 16,000 Prakasha expansions. So when Krishna married 16,000 queens, at that time he also expands himself into 16,000 forms, but they were all identical features. Okay? simultaneously manifested. Similarly, during the Rasa dance, he expanded himself in identical prakasa forms to dance beside each and every gopi simultaneously. Only Krishna can do this. When the Lord manifests his Vilas expansions, however, they are all somewhat different in their bodily features. So this is how you can understand. Prakash expansions are identical in their features, whereas the Vilas expansions are different in their bodily features. Now the example have been given. Lord Balram is the first Vilas expansion of Lord Krishna. And the four-handed Narayan form in Vaikuntha expands from Balram. Narayan is also, you can say, Vilasa form of Krishna. There is no difference between the bodily forms of Sri Krishna and Balram except that their bodily colors are different. Okay, Krishna is two-armed, and Krishna has a two-arm form, and Balram also has two-arm form. But the difference is Balram is white in complexion, Krishna is blackish in complexion. Similarly, Sri Narayan in Vaikuntha has 4 hands, whereas Krishna has only 2. So there is difference in bodily features. That's how they are Vilas expansions of Krishna. The expansions of the Lord who manifest such bodily differences are known as Vilasa Vigraha. Now, this thing is going to be explained in next set of verses. So, text number 69 and 70. When the personality of Godhead expands himself in many forms, all non-different in their features, as Lord Krishna did when he married 16,000 queens and when he performed his rasa dance, such forms of the Lord are called manifested form, that is Prakasa Vigraha. Then the explanation have been given from the Rasalila pastime. It is astonishing, it is astounding that Lord Sri Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself in 16,000 similar forms to many 16,000 queens, to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes. Then this was the Rasa dance pastime. When Lord Krishna, surrounded by groups of cowherd girls, began the festivities of the Rasa dance, the Lord of all mystic powers placed himself between each 2 girls. So these are his Prakasa Vigraha. In Dwaraka, when he married with 16,000 Mahisis, and he performed his last pastime with gopis in Vrindavan. At that time, what happened when Krishna was performing his Rasalila pastime in Vrindavan? When the cowherd girls and Krishna thus joined together, each girl thought that Krishna was dearly embracing her alone. To behold this wonderful pastime of the Lords, the denizens of heaven and their wives, all very eager to see the dance, flew in the sky in their hundreds of airplanes. They showered flowers and beat sweetly on drums. So in that way, these pastimes explain Krishna's Prakasa Lila. Then, finally concluding this, if numerous forms all equal in their features are displayed simultaneously, such forms are called Prakasa Vigraha of the Lord. So sometimes these are very tricky technical terms. Sometimes we get puzzled, we get confused. Just remember one thing, Prakash Vigraha. Who are the Prakash Vigraha of Krishna? The Vigraha in Dwaraka when he married to 16,000 queens, and when Krishna expanded himself into many in Rasa dance. So in this case, you can understand that all the features, bodily features of Krishna, which was simultaneously manifest, remains the same. They're equal. And these features are identical. That is Prakasa Vigraha. Whereas the Vilasa Vigraha are ekai Vigraha kintu akare hoy am. Aneka Prakasa hoy Vilasa Dharma. When the numerous forms are slightly different from one another, they are called Vilasa Vigraha. That's why the example have been given that Balram and Narayan and Chaturbhuja, they are all Vilasa Vigraha. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by inconceivable potency, such forms are called Vilasa Vigraha. And who are those? Examples of such Vilasa Vigraha. Baladev, Narayan in Vaikuntha Dham, and the Chaturbhuja, Vasudev, Sankarsan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. ईश्वरेर शक्ति यतीन प्रकार एक लक्ष्मी गणपुरे महिषी गणार ब्रजे गोपी गणार सभाते प्रधान ब्रजेंद्र नंदन जाते स्वयं भगवान. The energies of the Supreme Lord are of three kinds. Now, after describing the Vilasa Vigraha, now he is speaking about the energy of the Lord. The energies of the Supreme Lord are of three kinds. The Lakshmis in Vaikuntha, the queens in Dwaraka, and the gopis in Vrindavan. The gopis are the best of all, for they have the privilege of serving Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord, the son of King of Braja. That's why we were saying that we are very fortunate because we have the privilege to serve Krishna in Vrindavan by following the footsteps of the gopis. You can see this, devotee, the Mahisis in Dwaraka, they were very much eager to hear about the pastime of Krishna in Vrindavan. That's how we can see and this Jagannath form was manifested when Rohini Devi, she was speaking about the Vrindavan pastime to all these Mahisis. This proves that these Mahisis are inferior to the Gopis. Gopis are the best. When Lakshmi Devi is also still performing her penance in Bilvavan in Vrindavan to get association of Krishna, to get an entry to Rasa Lila. Anyway, the gopis are the best of all, for they have the privilege of serving Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord, the son of the king of Braja. Many people, they don't understand who Krishna is. Of course, we are reading this literature, we are also not qualified, but we can pray to Krishna, his devotees, that they will become merciful upon us, and one day we can become qualified to understand him as he is in his Vrindavan form. To serve Krishna in his Vrindavan form is the highest mode of rendering service to Krishna. So devotees are trying. We are also studying. By Krishna's mercy, maybe one day we will understand. स्वयं रूप कृष्णेर काय विभतार समा भक्त सहित हय ताहार आवरण. The personal associates of the primeval Lord Sri Krishna are his devotees who are identical with him. He is complete with his entourage of devotees. Sri Krishna and his various personal expansions are non-different in potential power. These expansions are associated with further secondary expansions or servitor expansions who are called devotees. Actually, these explanations are going to come up again in the Madhya Lila. That time maybe we will discuss more in detail. भक्तादि क्रमे कैल सभार बंदन ये सभार बंदन सर्व शुभेर कारण. Now I have worshipped all the various levels of devotees. Worshipping them is the source of all good fortune. To offer prayers to the Lord, one should first offer prayers to his devotees and associates. Prathama sloke kahi samanya mangalacharan. Ditiya slokote kari vishesha vandan. The first 5 verses I have invoked a general benediction, but in the second I have prayed to the Lord in a particular form. Now, Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gaudadaye Pushpavanto Chitro Sandau Tamonudau. From this verse, we'll continue from the next class. 84. Okay, any question or comment?
Prabhuji, I wanted to understand, so that when Krishna expanded in Brahma Vimohan Lila, will that be a Vilas form? As calves and the Gopas, remember he expanded. So will that be considered as the Vilas form?
Yes, you can say that. Because he expanded himself into many cows, calves, and different cow or boys,
right,
who had different body features also. Not everybody was having same complexion. Even though they were two-arm form, but they were little different. Every boy went to their respective houses. They are looking exactly like their son. So there was little difference, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice meditation on Vrindavan pastime. Very good. Thank you, dear devotees. By Mahaprabhu's mercy, we are back now, and we will continue as we started today. I hope you can post an announcement, Prabhu, that other devotees who maybe were thinking this man had been kind of telling yes, 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 and he's not coming. I was becoming a cheater.
No.
Certainly, they should know that we have started